The train's whistle screamed one last time as it pulled away, leaving behind a cloud of steam and dust that swirled through the dying light. When the sound faded, only two figures remained standing on the platform: Jake Hollister, rooted like an oak tree, and the stranger who had stolen his bride's name. Roxie Kane stood with her back to him, hat tilted low, hand brushing the butt of her revolver. The way she moved told Jake everything he needed to know. She was used to being hunted. He took a slow breath, his hand hovering near his holster. "You best start talking," he said. "'Cause right now, lady, I don't know if I should be helping you or handing you over." Roxie turned halfway toward him, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "You talk like a man who's used to giving orders," she said softly. "That's not gonna work on me." Jake's jaw tightened. "Then you best start answering questions." She sighed, glancing down the dusty main street of Dry Creek. The town was quiet, the kind of quiet that came after sundown, when the heat finally broke and everyone retreated inside. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. The air smelled like sage and smoke. "I told you already," she said finally. "Your bride, what's her name?" "Clara Bell. She ain't dead, just sick. Caught herself a fever outside Abilene. We were riding the same stagecoach. She was fretting about you, about meeting a stranger. Then the law showed up, asking questions about a woman named Roxie Kane. That'd be me." Jake crossed his arms. "So you just decided to take her place? You steal her papers, her ticket, her chance at a life?" Roxie's gaze snapped to him, sharp as a blade. "I took her ticket. Not her life. There's a difference. Don't sound like much of one." She took a step closer, and he caught the faint trace of whiskey and leather on her coat. "You think I wanted this?" she hissed. "You think I like running? I was trying to get out, cowboy, lay low. But that sheriff in Abilene didn't care much about second chances." Jake studied her face. Dirt smudged along her cheek, a small scar beneath her lip, eyes that looked older than her years. Whatever she'd done, it had carved something hard into her, something she carried like an old wound. He didn't lower his guard. "You rob a bank? Kill a man?" "Both tried to rob me," she said with a smirk that didn't reach her eyes. "And I don't kill unless I've got no other choice." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The wind pushed a tumbleweed across the tracks, and the faint sound of horses clopped from somewhere up the road, too steady, too synchronized. Jake's instincts flared. He turned his head toward the sound. "Law," Roxie muttered under her breath. "They followed me faster than I thought." She moved quicker than Jake could blink, stepping beside him, close enough for him to feel the tension in her body. "You got a horse here?" Jake hesitated, but something in her tone, that sharp, cold edge of fear, made him nod toward the hitching post. "Bay gelding. That brown one." Roxie's hand was already untying the reins. "Then saddle up, cowboy. You don't want to be standing next to me when they ride in." Jake grabbed her arm before she could mount. "I didn't agree to run." "You did when you said I could stay," she snapped. "Now move." There were 4 riders coming fast down the road, dust rising behind them, rifles slung over their shoulders. Jake saw the flash of a star badge in the torchlight. "Damn it," he muttered, and in one smooth motion he swung up onto his horse. "You better be telling me the truth, lady." "Wouldn't that be a first?" Roxie said dryly, climbing up behind him. They kicked off just as the posse reached the edge of town. Gunfire cracked through the dusk, bullets sparking against the tracks. Jake spurred his horse hard, the animal lunging forward, hooves thundering against the dry earth. The wind whipped against their faces as they tore down the trail leading into the open plains. For a while, the only sound was the pounding of hooves and Roxie's shallow breathing behind him. She clung to his shoulders, and though he could feel the weight of her revolver pressed against his back, he didn't think she meant to use it, not yet. They rode until the town was a shimmer on the horizon, swallowed by the coming night. When they finally stopped, the moon had risen, silver and cold. The land stretched wide and lonely, the kind of empty that swallowed sound. Jake dismounted, his boots sinking into the dust. "You done bringing hell to my doorstep?" Roxie slid down after him, landing light as a cat. "You offered me a place to stay," she said simply. "I just didn't tell you we'd be bringing company." "Company with guns," Jake growled. "You think they'll follow us?" He glanced back toward town. They will if they think I'm helping you. For a moment, she looked at him. Really looked at him. You didn't have to. Help me, I mean. Most men would have handed me over. I ain't most men. No, she said softly, eyes narrowing. You're worse. You actually got a conscience. Jake ignored the jab and started leading the horse toward the faint outline of his ranch in the distance. The night was cool now, the stars thick and bright overhead. He could hear the soft trickle of water somewhere nearby, the promise of the creek that ran past his cabin. You can stay one night, he said without looking back. Tomorrow you're gone. Don't matter where, just not here. Roxie followed a few paces behind, her boots crunching softly in the dirt. You always this warm and welcoming to strangers? Only the ones pointing guns at me. That made her chuckle, a short, rough sound that wasn't quite laughter. You got a mean streak, Hollister. I like that. They reached the ranch house, a small wooden cabin tucked between two old cottonwoods. The lantern on the porch flickered weakly in the wind. Jake tied the horse to the post and turned to face her. Inside, he said. Roxie raised an eyebrow. You always invite wanted women into your home? Don't flatter yourself, he said, pushing open the door. You're staying in the spare room. I'll be keeping my gun close, just so we're clear. The cabin was simple. Wooden floors, a table with 2 chairs, a cast-iron stove still warm from the morning fire. Roxie stepped inside, eyes scanning everything like she was mapping her exits. You live alone? She asked quietly. Been that way a long time. She nodded, walking over to the window. Figures. Jake poured himself a glass of water from the jug on the table and took a slow sip. You plan on telling me why those lawmen want you? Roxie leaned against the wall, arms crossed. They think I shot a man in Santa Fe, a banker. Truth is, he pulled first. But try explaining that to the law. Jake studied her for a long moment. You got a knack for trouble. Trouble's got a knack for finding me. He set his glass down and rubbed his temples. You can sleep here tonight. At first light, I'll take you to the trail that leads north. You keep riding. You don't look back. Roxie gave him a slow, crooked smile. You're a hard man, Hollister. He looked up, eyes steady on hers. And you're a dangerous woman, Kane. For a heartbeat. The air between them changed, the tension no longer just about guns and lies. Something else flickered there, something unspoken. Then Jake turned away, blowing out the lantern. Get some sleep, he said, his voice quieter now. Tomorrow this never happened. But as he lay awake in the dark, listening to the soft creak of the floorboards and the distant wind outside, Jake Hollister knew it had happened, and that his life, quiet and certain as it once was, had just been rewritten by a woman with fire in her veins and a past she couldn't outrun.